In the series before, James Harden averaged 17 points and shot 34% from the field against much weaker Brooklyn. I'm going to say last night was an outlier, shooting 65% from the floor in Boston, scorching the Celtics for 45. A bit of an outlier, but in Philly this morning, who cares? Great outfit, great night. The bigger issue, though, late in the game, this is what we've said. I don't trust Boston. There's so much I like about Boston, so few things I love. Fourth quarter, last several possessions. Do you know in the fourth quarter, Jason Tatum had 4 shots? He had a great night, 39 points, 4 shots. That's one fewer than Malcolm Brogdon. That's the same number of shots as Marcus Smart, who had 6 turnovers and didn't play well. We all just watched old Steph Curry drop a 50-burger in Sacramento and demand the ball. He had 11 shots in the fourth quarter, over twice as many as the next closest Warrior. We watched an old LeBron in L.A., fourth quarter overtime, demand the ball and beat the Grizzlies. And we watched a way past his prime James Harden last night take the final shot, demand the ball, and win it for the Sixers. I don't know if it's the head coach. I don't know if it's Tatum. But 4 shots in the fourth quarter for the best player on the floor. With no Embiid, Tatum was. Again, the Warriors can get sloppy, and they can be unfocused. You'll see that starting tonight. But good God, do they have a next gear? Who knew it was the Celtics who would have one last night? And without Embiid, there was real clarity. They knew who to go to. James Harden, Tyrese Maxey got the looks. I think it's a total outlier by James Harden, who often feels like a role player. But what a time to have your greatest playoff game since 8 years ago. A fantastic finish. And Philly doesn't care if it's an outlier. All right, so tonight, Lakers, Warriors, LeBron and Steph. So I think we all know that LeBron's career, he could get swept. It's cemented. He's either the GOAT or the second best player ever. The Swiss Army knife of basketball over the last 17, 20 years. He can do everything well. Steph has 4 rings, 2 regular season MVPs, a finals MVP. And he did it all on LeBron's watch, right? We know sometimes if there's a Jordan or a Tiger Woods, the number 2 shrinks. Steph Curry hasn't. I have no problem saying he's the best point guard ever. He's the best teammate ever. He's the best shooter ever. He's a top 10 player ever. He's had the greatest impact on the game ever. I have no problem saying that. A much greater impact than Michael Jordan. People copied Michael. Steph changed the game. But when you get into these arguments of top 10 and who's the best ever, let me give you something to think about. If a UFO lands, if somebody that's never seen basketball comes to you and say, what's it like? And I said, I'm going to give you the 7 wonders of the world in basketball. I'm going to give you 7 players. And this is what basketball can be at its greatest. They're not only great, they're all unique. And we can argue who's better, Shaq or Hakeem, but Shaq was more unique. And if I said, here are the 7, and if I did this in music, I'd give you Beethoven, I'd give you the Beatles, I'd give you Tupac, I'd give you Beyonce. I could give you a sense of what music is. I'd throw in a Prince. This is what music can be at its best. And if you had the 7 wonders of basketball ever, here's the 7 guys I would choose. Kareem. Nobody could ever duplicate the greatest single shot in league history. Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest player, the most relentless. LeBron James, no player's ever done more better at a higher level. Steph Curry, he took shots you used to get benched for and made them all the time. Magic Johnson, the greatest passer ever for the biggest franchise, no point guard or team leaders ever played like him. Larry Bird broke into the league as a forward and became the league's best shooter and passer. And Shaq, the other big that doesn't play like Kareem, proving a big when he was in his best shape, can run the floor like a guard. The 7 wonders of basketball. You could do it in art. You could do it in music. I don't know who the best this and the best that is. We could argue about it, and that's what I do on this show. J-Mac and I argue. Skip and Shannon can argue. Nick Broussard, Kevin Wildes can argue. That's what we do in sports. But if you're talking about historically great, historically unique, historically franchise-changing, historically game of basketball altering, Steph's one of my 7. A UFO lands, they've never seen it. Never seen it. They want describe music with 7 artists or bands. Beethoven to the Beatles. Biggie Smalls to Beyonce. I give you a little of everything, all great, all unique. That's what music sounds like. When I think of basketball and the 7 players, it's not just about being great. Where's Kobe? No, Kobe is MJ light. KD and Dirk, kind of the same. These are all all-timers. Nobody's ever played like them, and I don't think anybody else ever will. I mean, think about how unique Kareem was. When he was a freshman at UCLA, the Bruins with John Wooden were the national power. They were like Duke, Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky combined. They just won all the games, all the time. And literally, Kareem, the Bruins had won the national title. He goes to UCLA as a freshman, and the freshman team beats the national champions soundly. Kareem changed the game. There's nothing like him. Every other center is second. And Steph Curry, literally the shots he take, they got players benched. They are outrageous attempts just 7, 8, 9 years ago. Now they are the league standard. Nobody ever played like Magic. Nobody was as relentless as Michael. LeBron's the great Swiss Army knife. Larry Bird broke into the league. When I was a kid, guards were the best shooters. Bird was a forward. He was immediately and the best passer. And then there's Shaq. No big has ever run the floor like that. The most powerful player in the history of the league. But I think not just LeBron, whose career is cemented, but Steph's, who's actually got a career that is still ascending, makes that list. There you go. All right, J-Mac. Now, your 7 could include probably a couple of Knicks.
Zach LaVine's maybe touch and go there at 8. I really like that list a lot, Colin. I think that's extremely fair. I think people will find issue with it because that's what people do on the internet.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, I think that's fair. Steph Curry has changed the game. You could go to argue Curry has changed the game as much as Jabbar. I mean, listening to your spiel there, it's like, Jordan didn't totally change the game.
No, Michael was just great.
He was great. LeBron can't change the game because he's a unicorn. We'll never see that kind of guy again. But Curry has made 30-footers like en vogue. Everybody's shooting 30-footers now. Like
he's changed AAU basketball, international, college, and pro basketball.
Yeah. I mean, Magic and Bird did something for a decade. Curry's done something for a generation.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.